Making a circle. Not enough support. Not enough support? Me too, unbuildable base. Me too. Ladies, gentlemen, and pals of all ages, when it comes to this game, one of the main important functional parts of it all is your base. Whether it is your home for aesthetic reasons, or if it's a base that exists purely for efficiency purposes, for mining or breeding large amounts at a time, your base is important, and as you move further into the game and progress your base upgrades, you unlock the ability to have up to 3 bases total at one time. So today we're going to be talking about a couple of good spots for efficient mining bases, depending on your personal interests. But then, for the most part, we'll be talking about just a bunch of good positions for a general main base setup, places that are aesthetically pleasing for one reason or another, but also highly defensive against raids, as there are some spots where you can just be essentially immune to raiders completely just because of how the mechanics and the actual world area is. So without further ado, let's start with your efficiency bases. The first one we've talked about on the channel before, but it's right over here, on top of a small mountain basically, a plateau the exact size of a base circle radius, and inside of it is a handful of ore nodes and a handful of coal nodes. Both of these are needed in excessive quantities throughout the game, and I still haven't really found a better location that does both of these as a combo. Then we have a couple of different later game resources that we'll be covering here as well. Maybe this is what you'd use your third base for, if you want a lot of it, and the first one is right over here in the frozen mountains to the northwest side of the map, and this is going to be a pure quartz mining base. Pure quartz is mostly used for circuit boards as a craft, which you'll need a lot of towards the later game for some pretty important things that you'll be building, so having a spot to farm a ton of quartz is good, even just for a short-term venture. After all, there is actually nothing wrong with using one of your base slots as a sort of deployable, movable mining base depending on what resource you're after for short-term gains. This spot is relatively open, but extremely defensible, just a little bit of a cliff with no way up to it for any raiders to actually get to on a bit of a raised area, and if you don't build walls, you don't build a gate, raiders simply won't be able to get to you because flying raiders only spawn if you have walls and a gate. Then third up today we have a sulfur base. Sulfur is just a main ingredient in gunpowder, which is required to make ammunition for all the various guns in the game, so it is of course a very relevant resource. That said, I will say late game when you can produce enough ore quickly, if you can turn them into nails, they sell for a lot of gold each compared to the time required, and then you can just buy ammunition with gold, so how you want to tackle these resources is up to you, but if you want to put one of your bases to work, this is absolutely where you do it. In the volcano to the southwest side of the map, of course, the later game area on this side there is sulfur aplenty, but mostly it's sort of spread out in lines, which makes it hard to build a base for, except for this one spot here right near the middle of the volcano itself. This area has like 8 or 9 different sulfur nodes and an ore node just for the sake of it. Yes, there's a bunch of lava around, but you can build over that, and the actual just amount of nodes here is absolutely insane. Fourth up then, we're moving on from mining bases, and instead we'll be talking about locations now that are just sort of lovely base making spots in general. Nice, open, relatively flat circles of the appropriate size that are ideally also safe from raids, and have a nice view if possible too, because why not? The first one then, let's talk about my own main base here, the first one that I've made properly in my own personal save. It's on this beach in the Autumn Island area. Just a really lovely near perfect sized circle of open flat land before it heads out to water, a lovely view of the ocean as a result, and for whatever reason I don't think I've ever had raiders appear here at this base. Raids are attempted at my other bases frequently, whether they work or not, but this one has never even had an attempt to actually happen, so I don't know if that's just a coincidence for me or if there's something up with this beach, but that's another plus for sure. On another note, one of the best ways to make use of space in a base is to build vertically, and this place also has a lot of clear space above it for you to do exactly that, which is a bonus as well. The only downside really is that the area itself isn't high up to begin with. Fifth then, let's talk about another base that I've lived on myself in our actual playthrough series of the game on the channel, which is right here. A bit deceptive looking on the map as I've just hovered over a rocky spike, but if you actually go here, under the spiky rock cliff is a tiny little plateau, the perfect size for a base, relatively flat, and this one is 100% raid proof, just because there are no actual paths that technically lead here, so again, raiders will get lost on the way, unless they are flying raiders, but again, you can make flying raiders just not spawn without walls and a gate. The one downside of this location is that the vertical building space is a bit limited due to the cliff itself, but it's still quite a lot of space that you can work with, and a really just lovely view as well. Sixth up then, we've got this lovely spot in another early game area, just high up, nice and top of a long climb of a hill. You get a decent view from here, a ton of flat land to work with up here as well within your base circle, and any raids that do come here have to come from one direction out the front following the path, and they take ages to actually get the whole way up the mountain because they usually spawn at the bottom and then have to spiral the whole way up, which gives you a ton of time to prepare for combat after the alarm bells start ringing. Seventh and today is this beautiful patch of flatland right near the middle of the map, elevated pretty damn high up. Again, the area is right around the perfect size for a base, and raids all have only one direction to attack from, being the sort of intersection right outside, so you can funnel them all into small areas and deal with them easily. By far the biggest check in this location's favor as well is that you can sort of see a bit of the whole map, the volcano in the distance, the great tree, the frosty mountain peaks, the desert looming over, and you have some much closer beautiful views too, as there are valleys on either side of you. Eighth up, we have this location over here, not too far from the last one, just before the map goes desert on you. Again, this is in a really nice high up place, a nice circular patch of grassland, but this one has no actual natural path up to it, so it is raid proof as long as you don't build the walls around it, as that can again cause flying raids to happen. You have the desert on the one side that you can look at with a strip of lava nearby, which is a pretty unique view of the map, a beautiful waterfall just over on the other side, and the best part is you have neighbors. The worst part is that the neighbors have crossbows, but it's a pretty unique location that does the job incredibly well, and of course those neighbors won't cause any problems unless you go over to their area. Then ninth on our list, we're going extremely far north. There is this little pointed cliff coming off of the endgame ice mountain to the northwest on the east side of it, and this specific little slice is a nice normal temperature spot, not requiring special armor or anything to exist there. It has the beautiful snow mountains just off to the side for you to look at without the pain of the cold itself. It has a perfect view of the desert, if that's your thing. There's a skill fruit tree just up the hill as well that you can collect from on cooldown because you'll have a base here, and there's bits of various ore or quartz nodes around that you can place the base beside specifically if you want some of that farmed here too. It's not quite raid proof, but you do know that all raids will come from the mountain side, as well the other side is just a cliff above a drop. They can't physically come from there. 10th up then, let's go all the way to the southwest side of the map for a secluded island vacation home. Here we have the tropical region just off south of the volcano itself. Yes, you do require some heat resistance gear while you are here, so that is worth noting for a main base, but this is just a really peaceful little spot, completely and totally raid proof, a dungeon spawn location just out of base range, so you can just go there whenever you feel like it, and it overlooks a lovely little private lake, little pool thing. It's beautiful, but you could also move the base down towards the actual lake area for a more aesthetically pleasing surrounding if you want it, but that does remove the raid proof nature of the base, so that's up to you, but I just like this general area, to be honest with you. And that just about does it for today then, everyone. The 10 best base locations in Palworld in my opinion, of course again with the caveat that it's not really necessary to have more than one mining base, at least not more than one per each resource, so a lot of these are just nicely located vistas of a raid proof nature ready to be built upon when you actually want to embark on your next major project. I hope you've all enjoyed this then, and maybe you've even found the location of your next dream home in the game. If you have any spots that you love having a base on, you should stick it down in the comments down below too, so people can check it out. Like if you liked the video, subscribe and hit the notification bell for more, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay sweet.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.